The chip on the shoulder has me fired up that they go out there and they prove all the doubters wrong, which sounds like you might be a little bit of a doubter. You sound like a little bit of a hater
Oh,
here,
I'm
Blankers.
not hating or doubt, but there is concern.
You're
Yeah, there's
doubting the
definitely
outfield.
concern. Yeah, in the outfield, there's definite concern. That means the bottom of the lineup, there's concern for me. The 7, 8, 9 spots are definitely something that I am worried about.
I was thinking about this, Blankers, because this is what I do. I sit down in a chair and I put my hand over my chin and I say, it's time to think. And I was thinking about the Astros and just, the chatter going on this morning and Altuve. By the way, Altuve's not even on the schedule to take ground balls. Like it seems like he's a full time outfielder. We'll see. Maybe it's just the experiment, see how the experiment goes, and then reevaluate in a week or two. But it is interesting that all of his defensive assignments on the schedule is all in the outfield, none on the infield. Chatter about where does Yordan hit in this lineup. I've noticed people are having that conversation now after we had that conversation. It's just, the full squad reported. Pitchers and catchers reported last week. It's that time of year. Football season's over. Baseball is in the air. And I'm always excited for baseball season. I'm always excited for opening day, as I know you are as well. But I'm more fired up this season than in recent years. And it took me a while because I wasn't thinking about why. Like, hey, Branham, why are you more excited this year than in years past? And I think it hit me in my moment of thought as I stared into the mountains in Arizona. I think it's because they're being doubted. Like, the Astros are being doubted, unlike since when? Like 14? Like no one expected anything from them in 14. They didn't really expect them to hit what they did in 2015, making the playoffs, beating the Yankees in the wild card game, advancing. They missed it in 16, but when was the last time the Astros were doubted like they're being doubted now? People are like, "Oh, they're going to finish third place in the West. The West is no longer theirs. They're going to fade into mediocrity. They're going to fade in away from this golden era." I don't recall a time they've been doubted in the golden era. I think you have to go back to the mid 2010s, and I think that's why I am more fired up for this season than recent years.
Can you say 2018 coming off the cheating scandal with all the negative publicity and
No, it wasn't
everybody?
out yet. It wasn't out yet. It didn't come out until after the World Series of 19.
Okay, so then that following year, I think a lot of people doubted when, after the apologies and all the negative press and how were the players going to deal with it, and this was going to be a boo tour for the entire year, and there were a lot of people doubting, if they were going to be able to survive all this or how, if they were going to be able to be the same team. Maybe there was doubt there. But I understand what you're saying about doubt. The thing that bothers me the most is I think the American League is very gettable. I think the division is theirs to lose. And it would excite me more if, with all the work that they did do this offseason, if the outfield looked a little better to me, I would be very excited about the possibilities of this team because I think everywhere else they're extremely talented. They're deeper than people think. They got backups in the infield positions. Their pitching staff is really good. I have concerns about that starting outfield, as you know. But overall, I think I'm excited about baseball coming back for sure, and I'm hopeful that this team does the little things like Chaz coming back, and maybe if he does, maybe I'll be a little more content with the outfield. But I believe that this team can still win. I just believe that with a little tweak here or there, I think they could still win it all.
I would maybe 2020, and they weren't good that year. I mean, they limped into an expanded playoff. They were 29-31, and then got hot in the postseason. And it was,
Right.
a 60-game year. It was a dumb season, but they got hot in the postseason. Nearly came back from 3-0, forced that Game 7 against Tampa that COVID year. But I don't think a team that featured Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, George Springer, Michael Brantley, Framber Valdez, Zach Greinke, Lance McCullers, Christian Javier, and Justin Verlander was doubted. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that way. You may not have. I felt like there were people that were they were looking and expecting this team to fail. They were thinking that this team used cheated enough that it's the only reason why. They didn't realize. I don't think they wanted to realize or rationalize that the guys you just named were part of what made up what was a really good team. But at the same time, I mean, I had concerns about how they were going to handle everything. And maybe the COVID year was a blessing because they didn't have to And with time passing, people eased up a little bit more than if they did have to go through a full season with full stadiums and everything that they went through.
Yeah, I guess I never put a whole lot of stock in that, and I know that maybe I was in the minority there. I don't know, but I never really felt like that was going to impact them a ton. But maybe some people were on the other side of that. But where would you stack up this season in terms of your excitement versus years in the recent memory?
I think I'm at a 6.5. I just I really have deep concerns about the inability to have bats in the outfield. And I know Altuve will be out there. The whole starting Chaz and Jake bothers me. The depth of the outfield, whether Gamble is going to be it's possible for him to kind of pick up where he left off or not. I'm not leaning that way. That if they, like I said, if they had gotten one more bat, I would up that by 1.5 or so, and I'd really be excited because I believe the rest of the roster is good. The outfield bothers me enough that I'm at a 6.5.
Okay, I feel like you're buzz killing my enthusiasm
I'm just
here.
being honest.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it. I don't just like my excitement doesn't equal the team's talent. Like whenever the Astros are really really good, is my excitement for the start of the regular season at a 10. Like to me, those things maybe have some correlation, but not total correlation. Those things are not the same. Like my excitement is being brewed not because this is the best Astros team they've ever had in franchise history. It might be the worst Astros team they had since 2016, to be matter of fact about it. My excitement comes from the fact that they're being doubted. Oh, all of these computers and the analytics predict the Astros to finish third, slightly behind Seattle and Texas. Oh, the Astros are not going to recover from losing another pillar of the golden era in Alex Bregman. All of the doubters is what has me fired up for the year. And I think I crave the Astros winning a lot, and I always crave them to win. But like, how much, how much fever do I have about it? It's higher this year.
Yeah, and I think that for
Fervor.
me, yeah, I like the fact that in most of the years of this golden era for me, it's like you go in knowing that basically I think it's theirs to lose. I think that they are so loaded and they are so talented that that's the excitement that they are going to dominate, and I'm going to enjoy watching them play, games every single night. And this team right here gives me doubts to where it's a little less. I understand where you're coming from because, yeah, it's always great to, prove people wrong. But for me, it's just if they were in the same position as a lot of those other years, I'd be really jacked up about the fact that I think that they can dominate baseball again. But I'd like to see them do at least one more thing before the season starts.
Yeah. To me, it's more the chip on the shoulder. The chip on the shoulder has me fired up that they go out there and they prove all the doubters wrong, which sounds like you might be a little bit of a doubter. You sound like a little bit of a hater here, Blankers.
I'm not hating or doubt, but there is concern. Yeah,
You're doubting the outfield.
Concern. Yeah, in the outfield, there's definite concern. That means the bottom of the lineup, there's concern for me. The 7, 8, 9 spots are definitely something that I am worried about. And then now it's about how guys play between, in spring training, that maybe someone breaks out or someone steps up. And now we've got someone to talk to that looks like they didn't have to make a trade or get an extra outfielder. But until then, I'm going to temper my excitement a little bit.
Okay, be buzzkill about it. It's fine. Be the wet blankers about it. Todd the Show's on YouTube, which is maybe a story within itself. But Todd the Show says the entire Major League Baseball doesn't have much going on in the outfield. I do think that the outfield offense around the game is probably down than where we expected it or where we saw it like 10 years ago. But still, yeah, this is still a below average offensive outfield. Rocky, your excitement is for a trash outfield. No, it's not. My excitement isn't because of the product that the Astros are putting out there. My excitement is because everybody's doubting them, and I have a chip on my Houston shoulder. My broad, beautiful, muscular shoulders is why I have the attitude that I have. 713-780-ESPN. There was no fans in the stand for the Boo Tour in 2020. Yeah, we cleared that up. Texter, even before we started the show, texter in all capital letters, Yordan rule numero uno is designated hitter only. Which it does seem like the Astros are getting closer and closer to putting him in that role. Joe Espada, which is crazy. Like, I've been listening to Joe Espada out in West Palm Beach, and all he talks about whenever he mentions Yordan Alvarez is, my number one focus is keeping the big man healthy. Where was that last year?
Yeah.
Like, well, we've been telling you to do that, Joe. Why did it take you until your second year as a manager that you're just now coming to these strokes of brilliance where, yeah, we're going to keep Yordan Alvarez healthy? Okay. Way to go, Joe. Fine. I'm glad that you finally learned that going into your second season as a big league manager.
This is, Jeremy, this is the equivalent of the Angels just now figuring out with Mike Trout. They should probably take it easy on him defensively because he's so important when he's not in the lineup, they suck more. Like, what took you so long? Like, Joe Espada, what took you so long? How do you look at this team and know how important that big man is? And then whether it be that Bagwell or others start the train in motion to say, we want to see him play about 50% of the games in the outfield before the start of last season. And you're like, okay, if you sure you want to do that. But I also think to some degree he was driving that. I think that he wanted to play the outfield and he likes being out there, and maybe he learned a lesson too because of how many close calls he had.